Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you, and I want to know who would like to move House File 4168 to be laid over for possible inclusion.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay, so moved. Representative Lean moves that House File 4168 be laid over for possible inclusion. Welcome to the committee, Representative Damath. Please tell us about your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. House File 4168 increases transparency for prospective students by requiring public universities and private colleges and universities to disclose tuition and fees, provide an estimated timeline for completion of undergraduate majors, provide information on success, in placement, and an estimated income. This information would be posted to the university or college website and then included in promotional materials. And with that, that is my bill.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to testify on House File 4168? Okay, is there any further discussion on House File 4168 by our committee members? Representative Poppe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Damath, can you just explain how this is different from what currently is required?
Representative Damath.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Poppe. Some of the universities and colleges do have some of this information available. There's also a little bit available on the DEED website. This would bring it together in one place on the website or in promotional materials that prospective students or families are looking at.
Representative Poppe.
Thank you. Do you have, I guess I know we've done this in the past. We've asked the colleges and universities of the state to provide this information. And I guess I think it's a reasonable request to ask them to do that. Again, just probably unclear about what is missing at this point that could be provided, and then maybe what would be the reason to do it. I think right now students are have choices on where they're going and what they're doing, and so maybe just a little bit more clarification about why you're bringing this forward.
Representative Damath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Poppe. Just having that transparency again, so that as students are choosing their undergraduate majors, that they would definitely have the information needed as far as what the possible income could be, what that particular college or university has in record as far as their placement success.
Representative Poppe, do you have a follow-up? No. Okay. Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for bringing the bill. I understand the intent, right, and I think it's a very good intent. However, I have a few concerns about it. So my son is a liberal arts major, and he went on to get a degree in something else. And that something else makes it appear that his income is much higher than, let's say, $45,000 that another liberal arts student who might attend and get the exact same degree would receive. So my question is, the idea is good. The data, especially when you're talking about humanities, liberal arts, and things like that, is very messy. So when we see things like, and please understand this is coming with the very best intent, okay? So when I see, like in line 1.12, where it says, provide as much information and data as possible, what data? I mean, exactly what are you looking for? I think that's the piece. Are you looking to see what did they go on and do? How long did it take them to complete it? Why did they change? I mean, it just seems to me like in some of our instances, that would be very complicated and very messy and very expensive for institutions to track over the course of years. So can you just help me understand it?
Representative Damath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Cleavorn. I understand your concerns with that. As much information as possible could go to the overall placement of students when completing their degree. Hopefully it is going to be in that line that they have actually studied for, but the overall completion of degree from that university or college is also going to be factored into this.
Madam Chair.
Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you. So then what do we do with students who start in one area and then transfer to another area and transfer to another area? As you well know, we both have children who are older. As you well know, students change their mind. They pursue different avenues. Something sparks their interest, and they go down a different path. Would that same data maybe mislead another student into thinking that wasn't a good career path or that wasn't a viable path, whereas the second student, it might be a great path? Do you see what I mean?
Representative Damath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Cleaborn. I do see what you mean, and as a mother of 4 adult children,
Right.
we've taken a varied path along education in all 4 of them. I understand what you're saying. What this would do is just that transparency for a student to be able to look back. The completed degree is what the data would show, and then the overall graduation rate is what the intent of the bill is.
Okay. Madam Chair,
Representative Cleaborn.
I would just like to say, I think it's a good intent. I think it's very, very difficult data to track completely. And I think the SLEDS program that we paid for last year would be giving us the exact same information. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you, Representative Cleaborn. Representative Nornes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just noted that there was a fiscal note required or asked for, and it comes up 0, so there's no cost. So that's, in case you didn't note that. So I guess what I was going to comment on is the fact that the way colleges, between the tuition costs and all of the other things, I would think this tool that this bill is requiring would be very helpful as parents and students make decisions on where they want to attend. I think the outcome is what they're looking for, what they're paying for. And it's not going to be 100%, but I think it would be very helpful to have that as you decide some decisions based on the future outcomes. So I think this is a very practical bill, very needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Nornes. Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to thank the bill author, Representative Damath, for bringing this forward. It is incredibly important. And I have had in my 6 years here, at least once per year, I've had college students, my constituents, make appointments with me, and they're very concerned about their debt, their college debt. And in the course of the conversation, I'll ask them, what did they go to school for? Where did they end up getting a job? How much are they making? How much is their current debt? And questions like this. And it comes out the fact that they're tens of thousands, $60,000, $80,000 in debt. They've graduated with a degree that's completely worthless. It has no marketable skills that an employer is willing to pay for. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, well, why did you go into tens of thousands of dollars of debt to get a worthless degree that an employer isn't going to hire you for? Right? We have a debt problem. We have a debt crisis. We've heard about it in this committee. We've heard about it in other committees. And the reason this is an important bill is to help provide maximum amount of available information so that students and parents can make discerning decisions and hopefully be turned away from investing money into worthless degrees. And part of that will be available and increased transparency by linking up degree major with estimated income and success in placement. How could anybody be opposed to that? So thank you for this.
Thank you, Representative Franson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative DeMuth, I finally get to rave over a Republican bill in here. Normally, it's Democrat bills that were being heard. And so the line of questioning is a lot different to their bill authors than what you're receiving today.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Representative Cleaborn.
If-
Is it a point of order? Or?
That is a point of order. It goes to the intent of our questions. I would ask that an apology be rendered that is uncalled for as to the intent of our questions. I believe every member, no matter which side of this table they're sitting on, is honorable and should be dignified. And when we ask any question of any member, I believe that there is well-intentioned thought behind those questions. And so I would ask that last statement be acknowledged as inappropriate.
I think what I'll do is just remind members to focus on the bill and not the motives of other members, and try to be as respectful as possible. Representative Franzen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So back to the bill here. My biggest complaint about college these days is I feel that colleges, universities have become predatory toward students. The cost of tuition is constantly going up. Those same colleges come back to the legislature and say, please give us more money so we can keep our tuition down. They may raise it 2%, but had we not given them the money, they would have raised it more. It's time and time and time again. Students are graduating, not every student graduating with a lot of debt, but there's quite a few students that they are saddled with debt. As my colleague, Representative Lucero said, they are coming out with degrees where they had anticipated that they'd be able to find a job in that career. They are shocked to find out that they are now working at Walmart, or, I've had a person say that, yeah, they are working at Walmart. They had a degree in whatever it was and unable to find a job. They're not able to make even the minimum payments. They've deferred. They're out of deferment. They have to pay on those loans, and they may still be living at their parents' home because they can't afford to move out, which then creates another issue, which is home ownership. College kids, when they're graduating, they're putting off marriage, they're putting off family, they're putting off buying a home because their first commitment is what? To paying off those student loans. And home ownership to me is very important. Home ownership is a pathway to wealth, to financial stability, to a retirement fund in the future. And so to Representative DeMuth, thank you for bringing this bill forward and having that conversation and bringing some realistic expectations to students. If somebody wants to go into a degree that they may not be able to pay their student loans back as quickly as they would like, but are very passionate about that degree, at least that they will have a realistic expectation of what that looks like.
Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is actually for Mr. Savory.
Okay, go ahead, proceed.
I was just curious, the SLEDS report that we funded last year, can you tell me what the budget line was for that?
Mr. Savory.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. To clarify, the base budget for the SLEDS program, which is the Office of Higher Education, started last biennium when this committee took up the budget, was $1.7 million for the biennium. Subsequently, through the conference committee process, the budget for that particular item was increased by $1.8 million. So the total going forward is $3.5 million for the SLEDS program.
Okay.
Representative Cleavorn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason I asked the question is because of the fiscal note being $0. It seems to me that when we have looked at in-state government, when we have looked at modifying computer systems to collect this data, there's always a cost. When we think about the time it takes for somebody to input the data, there's always a cost. When we talk about students reporting the data, there's a cost. I just find it hard to believe that there would be, if we're saying that the legislature would have no cost, that's one thing. If we're saying that the universities and institutions that we're requiring to do this would have no cost, that's another statement. But collecting this type of data is not cheap, and it takes time. And we want to make sure that students have an opportunity to succeed, and we want to make sure that students have the right information they need going forward to make questions. But I believe that's why we funded the SLEDS report. Thank you.
Representative Poppy. And we have one more person after that, and we're going to let Representative Demuth make her closing comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I won't belabor any point too much, but I just wanted to, I think students do when they have more information, they can make better decisions. When they are aware of opportunities regarding careers, they can make better decisions. So I'm going to also just give this as a plug for having more counselors in school, either at the K-12 system, certainly throughout the high school, and I served, for a number of years as a college counselor, and I can tell you that students can be undecided and unaware, I'd like to see them have more opportunities for understanding what the possibilities might be for their career and their education. I'm not saying that this is a wrong approach. I'm just wanting to make a point that I think there are other things too that we should and could be doing that would actually assist students in making better decisions for a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you. And Representative Quam, we have 2 minutes, and if we could leave most of that for Representative Dameth, that would be wonderful. Representative Quam.
I just want to illuminate that because we've funded SLEDs, because we've funded et cetera, the data is available, and my understanding is this would just be putting on the website. And frankly, if the school doesn't understand what it costs in tuition and fees, I'd be shocked. So they shouldn't even have to go to an outside prod to be able to do that.
Thank you, Representative Quam. And then with that, we can now, Representative Dameth, would you like to make some closing remarks?
I would. Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee members, thank you for taking time a short period of time to listen to this bill. It's my first time in your committee, and I really appreciate that. I just want to draw your attention on the fiscal note, page 6, and I'll use this briefly. The websites of Minnesota State colleges and universities currently contain much of the information that is required in my bill. The information already includes some of this, so the cost to update their websites would be absorbed within those management budgets. It's just bringing it together in an effort to be more transparent for families and prospective students to make the best decision. We know that we have a workforce shortage. We also know that we have many opportunities for students. It's not that there's a right or wrong, but just that students would know what they're getting into to be able to follow their dreams and their career path. With that, thank you very much for hearing the bill.
Thank you. Hearing no further discussion, I renew my motion that Representative Lean.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
To do.
Just a comment, quick comment. Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Dameth, I heard you say this is your first time to the committee. Perhaps next time you can sweeten the pot a little bit. Thank you.
With your permission, Madam Chair, that crossed my mind at 2:30 when I was sitting in committee. I did see where I fell on the agenda.
Okay.
Nice catch.
Okay. And I believe Representative Lean, were you the motion maker?
Yes, Madam Chair. I will renew the motion.
Okay, thank you. Representative Lean renews the motion that House File 4168 be laid over for possible inclusion. The bill is laid over.